Hey everybody, I'm back. Okay, we're gonna be making some Korean noodles, better known as Japchae. Some people pronounce it differently, but I actually listened to it on Google and it does say to pronounce it Japchae. So if you've heard other variations of it, then that's okay too. Looks like you can hear me. And we'll get started. I've got the comments enabled so I can see your questions because this is a little bit unusual dish. I don't think a lot of people have had this before, or maybe you didn't know what it was called if you had it. I have a sweet potato, and I'm going to mess around with that for a minute because that was one of the components of this dish, and I baked it, and then I didn't really do anything with it. There's Jill. This is a garnet sweet potato, and we're going to put some little chopped pieces of that in our noodle salad. But first I have to kind of chop it up a little bit, so I'm kind of getting it ready for that. I'm sure most of you have made sweet potatoes, and especially following a plant-based way of eating, it's a very popular thing to eat. So, once you bake the sweet potato, it has a lot of uses, and one of the uses is to chop it up and put it in salads or just in whatever you like. So for this demonstration, we're going to put it in a salad. Hello, Nico. Hello, Barbara. So I've got my garnet sweet potato. I baked it at 400 degrees for 1 hour, which was probably a little bit too much because it's a little soft. It doesn't need to be that soft. And it's on a piece of parchment paper. And I poked some holes in it. And don't ever try to cook a sweet potato on the oven rack. Sometimes people do that in the beginning when they're just starting to make this kind of stuff. And they discover pretty quickly that if you put the sweet potato directly on the rack of your oven, you're going to end up with a big mess. You're going to end up with sweet potato juices all over the place, right? Has anyone ever done that? I bet you have, because I did it a long time ago. Never made that mistake again. So part of our Korean noodle salad, japchae, is going to have little cubes of sweet potatoes. So I'm going to cut those up and set them aside. I'm getting all the components ready for my salad. And that's kind of a thing that works well with things that have a lot of different steps is, you can make things ahead, you can make things earlier in the day, and then you don't have to try to make it all at once. I steamed it. This is Debbie K. Oh, that's funny. Let's see. Terry Malnar says, hello, Chef Julia. Looking forward to making this recipe. And hi, Christy. Hi, Kim. A lot of you watching, or maybe not a lot of you, a few of you, probably took my plant-based Korean class a while back, a couple of years ago. That's a while back. And in that Korean class, we made a lot of stuff like this. We made a version of this Korean noodle salad. I'm just going to put my potatoes in this dish. Hello from Maryland, Jess Ann. And we made a japchae dish in that class, and it was the traditional one. And this is a different one. Hi, Gail. Hi, I already said hi to Jess Ann, Jill. So that one is a little bit different from this one. This is a brand new version of the Korean noodle salad. So if your sweet potato is a little bit soft when you first bake it, like mine was a little bit too soft, I thought, I let it sit for a couple hours at room temperature and it firmed right up. So I'm able to slice it and put it in cubes. So that's what we're going to do with that. We're just going to put it in cubes, and it's going to go on top of our salad at the end. And then I want to show you that I've already made tofu. So that was another prep thing that I did earlier today. And it's in my recipe packet. It's in my it's in the ebook in the bundle called the 3-ingredient challenge. And this is just baked tofu. And it's marinated in a little bit of soy sauce, tahini, garlic. I think that's about it. And while I'm thinking about it, the bundle, got to get that on here. If you haven't already purchased it, I keep forgetting to describe it because so many of you have been watching my videos, but it's 83 different unique contributions for the bundle of ebooks, videos, courses, all kinds of other things. And if you were to buy each thing separately, it would cost over $5,500. But we're offering it for just a short period for $49. And you just download it. It takes a few minutes to download everything, or you can download just what you want. And then you have it. And you can watch it. You can look at it on your electronic device. You can print things out. I always print things out because that's just what I do. Like, here's a picture of our recipe for today. It's very colorful. And this one is in the 3-ingredient challenge, which is we were given 3 ingredients, and they were kale, sweet potatoes, and beans, I believe. I think it was beans. Let me look in here. No, bell peppers. Bell peppers, sweet potato, and kale. So Gail says, I love watching Chef Julia tell her tricks of the trade. Well, I don't know how many tricks I have, but I'm trying my best. Like, I just learned that if you overcook the sweet potato and let it get cold, you can cut it. At first I thought, oh my goodness, I overcooked the sweet potato. What am I going to do? But it worked out okay. All right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our noodles. And I've got my pot over here on boiling water. I'm not going to move it because this is the hotter burner and it'll get the water boiling better. So what I mean by sweet potato noodles, well, they're technically, they're just sweet potato glass noodles. And they're made from sweet potato starch and water. That's it. And they sell them in the Korean markets. I'll put these in and then I'll talk more about it. Bring your water to a rolling boil. And then we're going to put these in, and we only want to cook them for, on this one it says 7 to 9 minutes. I'm going to check them at 7 minutes. Because if you overcook them, they get kind of soggy and they're not as good. So we definitely don't want to cook them too long. It's better to cook them until they're still at the chewy stage. And I'm going to move them around a little bit to make sure they get in here. And I'm going to set my timer. Make sure this is up as high as it'll go. Yep. I'm going to set my timer for 7 minutes. And I'm going to check them now. I may cook them longer, but at 7 minutes, I'm going to definitely check them because they really don't taste as good if they get soft, in my opinion. And once you get them in the water, they just kind of turn glassy. That's why they're called glass noodles. In the Korean supermarket, you'll see all different brands. You'll see, whatever Korean writing, but they all say, this one says 100% sweet potato starch. So that's important because some of them have squid ink in them. I found that out one time. I bought some to make this, and I looked at the package. I just happened to glance at the package, and it said sweet potato starch, and it had squid ink. So be careful because it might have squid ink. So, sometimes you just have to look at the label, read the label. Don't assume they're all vegan because apparently there's some non-vegan brands. And then have your colander ready because as soon as they're ready, we've got to get them in the colander and rinse them with cold water, and then they'll be ready for us to use. So get whatever noodles you need to get. I did put in my Amazon store this morning, I put the sweet potato noodles, the exact ones that I'm using, because that's where I ordered them because I couldn't make it to the supermarket, the Asian supermarket, where I usually go to H Mart and get stuff like that. And then the tofu I used this morning was just a Nasoya organic extra firm tofu. Gail says I always tend to overcook my noodles. It's like they are not ready and then all of a sudden mush. So that's why it's always good to check your noodles before the time they're supposed to be done. Because a lot of times, if you wait until the time on the package, they're already overcooked. And that was the thing I always did not like growing up, is people would, serve me spaghetti, and it would be so mushy and overcooked. It was terrible, and I did not like that. So now I always make things the right temperature. I'm kind of washing this sweet potato off my knife because I don't like the way that looks. All right. So yeah, don't overcook your noodles, especially like the soba noodles, the all the Asian rice noodles, all those things, man, they bloat up when they're overcooked and they're not any good. Okay, so some of the other components to this dish are shiitake mushrooms, and I'm going to slice these up and I'm going to saute them briefly with a little bit of soy sauce because we don't want to eat raw shiitake mushrooms. They just are not very appetizing. If you have any questions, let me know. Always cut the stems off the shiitake mushrooms because they're not edible. They're like hard, hard as a rock. They're tough. So you cut those off, and then we're just going to slice the caps of these mushrooms. Shiitake mushrooms are kind of expensive. Like I think these are $17 a pound. So if your budget doesn't allow for shiitake mushrooms, you can get white mushrooms or cremini mushrooms. They're a lot cheaper. They're like $4 a pound. So if that's what you need to get that. You know, just any mushrooms will be fine. And here's my compost bin bowl that I keep all my scraps in because whew, this is gonna steam my hair. All right, let's see how it's doing. We have 3 more minutes, and I'll just show you that just in that amount of time, you can see that the noodles have gotten this real clear, glassy appearance. And I'm pretty sure at 7 minutes, I'm going to take them out. Okay, so we don't need that anymore. Oh, and if you watch me this morning, my soup from the morning travel soup is ready, and it looks delicious. It's very hearty looking, like a potato vegetable soup. It tastes really good, just like this. And it also could be served over rice, noodles, served with beans. So if you want to go back and watch that video, I love this little rice cooker. It boils things pretty good. You just turn it on the rice setting and put your food in there, and pretty soon it's bubbling. So I see a lot more uses for it, kind of like for things like uh, making oatmeal or heating things up, or you could make chili or heat up spaghetti sauce or make your own marinara sauce, or you could make some kind of Asian curry when you're on the road. And it's very easy to carry. So, check it out if you're going to be doing some traveling. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. I'm slicing the shiitake mushrooms in strips. And as soon as the noodles are done, then I can put my skillet over here and start sauteing these shiitake mushrooms. But they're the only thing we're cooking. Everything else is raw, so I'll set those aside. And then we have some of these little mini bell peppers. I have one in each color. I just like the size of them. And they're the kind, the organic. These are called Aurora Bites. They're mini bell peppers, and you can buy them in just about any grocery store. I usually don't use the mini bell peppers. I usually use the regular size ones, but for this dish, they looked really good. They looked like the perfect size. I'm going to wipe my knife off again so that my bell peppers don't have mushrooms on them. Okay. See, we're doing good. We have just less than a minute left, so we can slice our peppers all at once. We can do 3 at one time. I want them in rings, and the reason I want them in rings is because they're going to sit on top of my salad, and they'll look really pretty this way. And when I get to the end, and one thing I like about these mini peppers is the seeds don't come in until the very end. So you see the seeds start to show up on that one. I think I got around the seeds on this one. It hasn't quite got to the seeds, but I think I can do another slice or 2. And then this one, I still had a few slices, good slices. Okay, there's my timer. All right, so I'll check one just to humor myself And what I do is I just grab a noodle out of the pan. I know it's hot, but I have like leather hands. Yeah, perfect. Still has a chew to it, not soggy. And I need to put it in my colander. You can't see this part, but trust me, I'm just putting it in a colander. And then I'm going to immediately run the cold water. And you'll see the color of these is kind of a strange color. I hate to say strange, but it really is kind of a very dark gray color, which I know is an unusual color for most of us for noodles. But in the end, it tastes really good. Let me turn this off. And I'll show you this in just a minute. I got to get it cool because if it's not, it'll kind of keep cooking. So all I'm doing is I'm running the cold water over the noodles. All right, I think that's good enough. So remember, as soon as that 7 minutes is up, get your noodles over to the cold water, and now you'll see they're they've plumped up a lot. Remember they were just like thin sticks, but now they're great big plump, glassy looking noodles. Okay, so that's how they're supposed to look. These noodles, Diana, are potato starch noodles. I'll show you the wrapper here in a minute. So I'm going to set these aside because they're done and they're cold. They're cool. They're not cold because I just ran cold water over them, but they're not hot anymore. Okay. My noodle wrapper got some hot water on it, but I'll show it to you. So these are the ones in my Amazon store. And they say on the cover, sweet potato glass noodles. And there's nothing in there but sweet potato starch. Is there anything that can replace mushrooms? I can't do mushrooms. You can just leave the mushrooms out. You could put zucchini or anything you like. It doesn't have to be mushrooms. Okay? So what is a vegetable? Think about it. What is a vegetable that you really like? Is it butternut squash, zucchini, eggplant, broccoli, green beans, anything? Because the reason I use mushrooms, the whole reason for this whole recipe was I had this dish. It was called modern Japchae, and it was in a restaurant in San Antonio called Best Quality Daughter. And it was like a highly praised new restaurant. Hadn't been open that long. I'm going to put my shiitake mushrooms in the skillet. It hadn't been open very long, and it was super popular. Oh, edamame, yeah, sure, edamame. But remember, we've already got tofu. So, edamame is soybeans. So if you like both, that's fine. Sometimes I use both in one dish, but, that would be okay. Mushroom powder. You don't really need the mushroom powder in this because we're going to make a dressing that has a lot of different sauces, a lot of different flavors. I'm going to get the heat turned up on this a bit. There we go. So yeah, just whatever you like. Okay, so another component. So far we have our sweet potato cubes. We have our beautiful bell pepper rings, and we want them to be in rings because that's what the color, that's what we want to see. We need to have our kale ready to go. So I've got that behind me, and I'm going to put it in this bowl. So if you don't, there's a little mess here. So I hope most of you have a salad spinner. And if you don't, I highly recommend you get a salad spinner. So what is a salad spinner? You put your greens in a basket. First of all, you wash the greens really well. So I wash them in the sink. Usually you can wash the greens in the solid bowl, put plenty of water in them, rinse them several times, and then, dump that water out and put your already kind of dried greens in the inside bowl. And then you spin it. You push the knob And it starts spinning around, and it spins around until there's no more water on the leaves of lettuce or kale or whatever it is. And the reason you do that is because if your greens are dry, they'll absorb whatever you put on them a lot better, okay? If your greens are wet, nothing is going to adhere to them. So none of the dressings or anything will stick to your salad greens or your kale. So it's really good for them to be dry. And it's really hard to dry your greens if you're just trying to put them in between paper towels. I mean, you could do that, but it doesn't work all that well without a lot of effort. So this way is a lot easier. And I want my kale to be kind of small. Gail says, I just see a lot of mushrooms in recipes I will replace with zucchini. Well, the reason there's a lot of mushrooms in recipes, a lot of people that are plant-based follow Dr. Furman's G-Bombs, where he recommends that everybody eat garlic, greens, berries, mushrooms, onions, beans, and seeds. So Gail says, I use a salad spinner to prep for storing in the fridge. Great, they're good. So that's why you see mushrooms in everything, because a lot of people are big fans of Dr. Furman, and he recommends that you eat mushrooms every day at every meal. So there's mushrooms around in this lifestyle. Hello, JJ from Vegan Knowledge. Thanks for joining. We're still doing live streams for the bundle week, and we're coming down to the last couple days. So those of you who have hesitated, not sure, it's not going to go on much longer through Monday. And as long as I'm able, I'm going to keep doing my demos. Okay. Diana says she uses kitchen scissors to make her kale smaller. That's probably easier than what I'm doing. There's just beautiful birds that keep coming around, and we don't know what they are. They have yellow heads. Probably can't see them. They're right outside my window. Yeah, you can't really see them. They have yellow heads, and they're just beautiful. I even asked my husband to get his bird book out and see if he could figure out what it was. And he wasn't sure. He thought they were some kind of finches or something. Okay, I'm going to put in a little bit of soy sauce. Not much, like a teaspoon. Just to kind of get these. I think they need a little water. That pan is pretty dry. I let it get kind of hot. So we'll put a little water in there. Basically, I'm just trying to wilt the vegetables or the mushrooms. So if you're using, see how hot my pan got? It shouldn't be that hot. If you're using zucchini or carrots or green beans or peas or whatever vegetable you want, just get them hot, cook them, because we have one cooked vegetable for this. That's me in disguise as a bird trying to get a free lunch. I understand. Claudia says, hi, Chef Julia, walking on the treadmill while watching you. Well, that's good. I'm glad you're watching anyway. Okay, so we've got the mushrooms are not quite done. We have the kale. We've got the bell peppers. We've got the sweet potatoes. I'm going to start putting these on my tray over here so that they're out of my way. And I have some cilantro that also goes on top, already been washed. And I have some scallions. I have not cut those yet. Then I have my kale. And I've got the noodles. They're sitting over here. And the tofu is right here behind me. I'm just going to set these on my tray because my tray is clean. I washed it right before class. So it's all right to set stuff on it. I'm going to cut these scallions. And these mushrooms are done. I'll show you in a minute what they look like. And I'm going to cut the ends off my scallions. Okay, so the mushrooms, they don't need to be super cooked. We're just kind of wilting them and getting them down to a point where, they've got a little bit of soy sauce on them. I should show you the camera where you can actually see this better. So you can see how they are cooked, but they're not super brown or anything, because you really don't want to brown things too much. You just want to if you're going to brown something, just brown it very lightly. Okay, so I'm going to put this on my tray. So basically, I'm just taking a clean tray, which is just like a big plate. So you could just take a big plate and do this too. I just didn't have a big plate handy at the time I was preparing this morning. And so we're putting all the components to our noodles on this one tray, so it's all in one place. And I have my tea. I traded my Dandy Blend for tea. And as someone pointed out the last video, Dandy Blend is not decaf coffee, which I called it. It's really a combination of root extracts. And now I'm drinking the wild sweet orange tea, which is from Tazo, and it has a really nice mellow orangey flavor that I like. Okay, multitasking. Spice Island Vegan says, I lightly steam my kale as my husband doesn't like raw kale. That's fine. You can you can have greens like my breakfast greens that are blanched if you don't like raw kale. But my salad, my Korean noodle salad, is kind of a copycat from that restaurant, First Quality Daughter in San Antonio. And when I went there to eat it, it had similar components, not exactly the same. And it was really good, but the dressing had a lot of oil in it. So I was kind of like pushing things aside and trying not to eat too much of the dressing, which was hard to do. And I was looking at it going, oh, this is so delicious. I love this. Didn't have sweet potatoes in it. And it didn't have kale in it either. I think it had Napa cabbage or something. But whatever it had in it, it was so good that I immediately thought, oh, I'm going to make this when I get home. And I did. I made my version of it, and that's what this is. So you see right now we have a whole bunch of components that are going to go in our salad. So that's what you should do, is get all your things. These are sunflower seeds. And then this is the tofu. So before you even think about creating your salad, your noodle salad, have all your things ready, because it's really hard if you try to do them one at a time after you've already decided you're going to make this for your meal, because you'll find it's going to take a long time. Gail says, I have a lot of finches now in my backyard. Mine are finches with yellow heads and some with yellow cheeks. Yeah, that's what we have. I've never seen so many, and they're beautiful. She puts peanuts out for the crows and squirrels, thistle for the finches. I've got tons of bird seed everywhere. I get the bird seed from the wild bird store, and I get the kind that it's no mess. It doesn't have shells on the seeds, so they don't get all over the grass and start creating plants I don't want. Okay, we're going to make the dressing. The necklace is all messed up. 2 tablespoons of low sodium soy sauce. Oh, and the dressing at that restaurant was so salty. Oh my gosh. After I had that meal for about a day, I could just not get enough water, so I know it was really salty. It's probably not good. Okay, 1 to 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. I think I'll just use 1 for now. I can always add more. Shoot, I have to stop for a bit to take a phone call. I'll catch up. Okay, Christy. Sometimes life interferes with videos, but that's the way it goes. That's why it's good that they're recorded, I guess. Okay, we're going to use 3 tablespoons of tahini. And this is the tahini I like. It's in my Amazon store for the bundle. It is pourable, so it's super easy to use. You don't have to take the jar out and stir it and stir it and stir it forever, which is kind of a pain. Let's see, 2 tablespoons of sriracha. And my sriracha is the Fix brand. And It is organic. It doesn't have any weird dyes or anything in it. And that's what I started using now is this more natural types of sriracha because the original sriracha that came out in the beginning, if you look at the ingredients, it's got some kind of chemicals and stabilizers and different things you probably don't want to be including in your daily diet. 1 tablespoon of date syrup. So a little sweetness for this is good. So I just put that 1 tablespoon of date syrup. Claudia says, I'm getting the no-shell seed next time. My patio is a mess. Yeah, the no-shell seed is kind of expensive, but the good thing about it is it lasts a lot longer because the birds don't have to do anything to get to it. They just, it's all there. Because I used to have all these sprouted plants all over my grass and growing through the cracks on the patio. And it was like, I don't want this mess. So we went to the bird store and she told us about the no mess. It's called no mess seeds. And then I have one of those like, I don't know what to call it, but it has like a solid block of bird seed and the woodpeckers love that. Suet bars, I do everything for the birds. I love birds. Okay, so I just use my whisk. Anybody recognize this Pampered Chef whisk from decades ago? I got that. I don't even know when. It was so long ago. Okay, so I've got everything for my Korean japchae. It's not really a salad, but most people call it a salad. So now we can assemble it. And so my instructions say, and I've got this beautiful bowl. Yes, it's quite pricey. I always send my husband to get it. I always tell him, we're out of birdseed. Could you go pick some up? Okay, so we're going to put the noodles in this bowl. And I'm not going to put, well, I guess I'll put all of them in here because what am I going to do? Okay, so I've got all the noodles in here. Now they're kind of sticky, but they're going to come apart because I'm going to add the dressing here in a minute. And I'm going to add, the goldfinch is my favorite bird. I don't see enough of them. Anne says this, I'm near Fort Worth, Texas. So it's my town is called Azle. It's not exactly Fort Worth, but that's the closest city that most people are familiar with. So I'm going to put some of the dressing in now to loosen up the noodles because they're a little sticky because they've been sitting there. It's been a while since I rinsed them. And then I can also put just a little bit of soy sauce on them. And that will also loosen them up a little bit. So that's my way of getting the noodles. And that also puts some flavors on the noodles. Now we could cut the noodles with scissors, which I might do so they're a little bit more manageable. Let me get my scissors. I've got some kitchen scissors right in here. Okay. And I just washed my kitchen scissors so they're nice and clean. Lydia says, my husband feeds the birds and squirrels. I don't know. I didn't know they had no mess seeds. We even have pigeons now. Yeah, once you start feeding animals, they come around. We have squirrels, lots of them, and I've tried all these different squirrel things, and nothing has really helped. Hi, Jill. So Jill's saying hi to other people. I thought she was saying hi to me. So I'm just cutting these a little bit smaller because they're kind of big. All right, so I've got the noodles. They're all flavored pretty well. If you feel like your noodles are too clumpy, run them under cold water and drain them before you start doing all this. I didn't do that, and I probably should have, but that's okay because once we put the dressing on, they'll be fine. Well, because once we put all the dressing on, we'll mix the dressing in the salad, and so it'll all be good. Okay, so now we're going to put the components of the salad on top. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save some on the side. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm going over here to get a bowl. Don't mind me. I'm going to put some in another bowl so that it's not all one big serving. Okay, so I've got 2 bowls of noodles because I want to create 2 of them, not just one big one. I have reasons for my craziness. Trust me. Okay, and so I have my tofu. So I'm going to put a pile of tofu, and I'm going to create little sections of everything. So I'm not going to put everything all in one and mix it up right away. I'm putting them in their little areas. So I've got some mushrooms, or as somebody that doesn't like mushrooms, whatever you like. I've got some of my kale, and then I have a little area to put my sweet potatoes, my slightly overcooked sweet potatoes. Remember, the challenge was sweet potatoes, bell peppers, and kale. And so all that whole cookbook are people that made stuff for the challenge. Of course, mine was the weirdest one, I'm sure, because nobody else would think about making some kind of weird Asian salad, but that's okay. I'm going to sprinkle the scallions. And also, when I had this, it had a lot of sunflower seeds on it. Okay, it had like tons of sunflower seeds. I don't put that many, but I remember thinking, that's really strange. This salad is full of sunflower seeds. Usually with Asian salads, you see sesame seeds, and we'll put some sesame seeds on here. So we have that, and then some cilantro. This is already washed and everything. We'll just put a little bit of it in the middle, not too much. We don't want to overpower it. And then when I had the salad in San Antonio, which is where I got my idea, it was a version of this. And we could put a lot more kale in here if we wanted to. I didn't put a lot in. Let me put a little bit more. It's not like I don't have a lot. And I could put, let me put things a little bit more balanced, a little more tofu. So it's got the noodles, it's got the tofu, it's got the kale, it's got the sweet potatoes, scallions, and bell peppers. Anne says, I'm in Michigan for my birthday. My husband bought me a Canadian penny necklace from an art fair in Toronto with a goldfinch painted on it. Oh, I bet that's beautiful. I love stuff with birds on it. I mean, such a bird lover. You could just look around my whole area here and you'd see nothing but bird related items. We're also going to put some sesame seeds, sunflower seeds, and sesame seeds. In my recipe, it has roasted sesame seeds crushed and made into like a gomiso. And I'm not going to make that today, but I have a video of me making that on YouTube. And then last but not least, we're going to put our dressing. And for this preparation, I like to just drizzle it instead of put it in one area. So I'm going to drizzle it all over. And then what we do to eat it is when you get ready to eat it, you mix it all up into a big thing. So let's do it. We're gonna mess it up. We're gonna mix it up and get all these things together. Get all the tofu, the sunflower seeds, the noodles, the dressing, the bell peppers, sweet potatoes, and all of it mixed up. And if you feel like there's not quite enough dressing, I'm scraping off what was on my tongs here. It looks a little messy. So we could, I always save a little dressing for the end because, once you mix it up, you might feel like there's not quite enough dressing. And this could serve like about 4 people. Anne says, I'm in Southern California. Great. Southern California is beautiful. I'll be going there in April. Ooh, there goes a squirrel. Okay, so this is our beautiful salad. Let me get you a close-up of it. Once we mixed everything up. Okay, come on. All right, so here it is. It has all the components. You can see the tofu, the kale, the bell peppers, sunflower seeds, scallions, sweet potatoes, and best of all, it tastes really good. We'll give it a taste here in a second. So, you get yourself a good forkful of the noodles. Try not to get too many when you're trying to talk and eat at the same time, with some of the vegetables. Mm. And the sauce. And it's really good. It's a little spicy. Um, it's got that sriracha. Whew, it's a little spicy. So if you don't want it that spicy, cut back to about 1 tablespoon of sriracha. And I think it would benefit from a little bit more rice vinegar. So I'm just going to pour a little bit on there because I can. So that you can do that if you feel like, oh, I like it a little tartar, then you can put a little bit more rice vinegar on it. So that's it. That's the dish. You can add some more sesame seeds if you like when you get ready to eat it. And what's really good is the tofu. It's got the roasted tofu in it and the sweet potatoes. Mm, more birds coming. And the shiitake mushrooms. So if you get a mouthful of shiitake mushrooms, bell peppers, sweet potatoes, and kale, it's absolutely delicious. So I hope you make this. And remember, even though these sweet potato starch noodles are an unusual ingredient, they're very easy to work with and they taste good. They're really kind of chewy and different. And, they just, it's kind of like a unique dish. It's not something you would ever see served anywhere other than Best Quality Daughter in San Antonio, but theirs has tons of sesame oil or something in it. So it makes it a little bit, hard for us to eat. So that's why I like to create my own version of stuff. Um, I could eat that entire bowl. Yeah. Oh, this looks healthier and better than the Trader Joe's version. Yeah, Trader Joe's probably, do they have a vegan version of Korean glass noodle salad? I've never seen it. But yeah, I know my version is healthy because it's got all these fresh vegetables in it and it still has crunch. It still has texture. And then it's got the good dressing. So make this and don't forget, I'll put it one more time. Don't forget to get the bundle because it's in the bundle. And this is the only place I've ever published this recipe. It's not in any of my classes. It's not in any of my other ebooks. I just have it in the bundle this year. So, and it's in the 3-ingredient collaboration ebook. And my picture looks a lot like what we made. The only thing I didn't make is in my recipe, I was very ambitious when I made the recipe to submit, and I made some like crispy fried sweet potato strips that I stuck in the air fryer. So if you see the picture of it and you see these little skinny sweet potato strips, that's what's in there. And I didn't do it for today because I kind of forgot and used the whole sweet potato and cooked it. And then it was like, oh man, I was supposed to make little julienne strips with the sweet potato and put them in the air fryer. Well, I forgot about it, so I didn't do it. But it still turned out great. So let me get some of this. Any questions? um, is the sweet potato starch noodles in a moisture package? No, they're dry. Those noodles are dry as can be. They're not moist at all. They're hard. They're like sticks. I think I have my package over here. Yeah, they're very hard. Yeah, they're like pasta noodles. Okay. All right, so I think what brand of cooking pot you have on your stove? Yeah, I use these hex-clad. So all my cooking pots, skillets, everything are hex-clad. And I like them because you can use metal utensils in them and it doesn't scratch them and they don't have any of that weird non-stick surface. So you can, I do have that in my Amazon store, but it's in my like Chef Julia's favorite cooking equipment or something. I have all their pots and pans in one of those idea lists. Or you can just Google Hexclad or go on Amazon. So yeah, it's Hexclad and it's not ceramic. Hexclad is metal. So it's very sturdy and for whatever reason it conducts heat really well. So when you use it, it heats things up fast and it heats evenly. So a lot of times you get pots and pans and you'll cook stuff and it parts of it are hot and parts of it are not hot and it's not really conducting the heat well. So yeah, the Hexclad I switched over about 3 years ago, and I'm glad I did because I've really enjoyed using them. They all have really nice glass lids, and they're just super sturdy, and they're not that heavy. I used to have Calphalon pans, and I think they were heavier than these. So yeah, I use these all the time. In fact, my skillet, one of the things I use all the time, it's kind of dirty right now, but I'll clean it a tiny bit, is my most trusted piece of equipment in the kitchen is my 12-inch skillet. And I've been using the same two skillets forever, and they're still just working very well. Let's see, how long will it stay good in the refrigerator? It'll be good like for 3 days, I guess, about 3 days. If I were going to be taking it to lunch, what I would do is I would kind of keep it, I would put everything in little areas and not put the dressing on until right before I ate it. And that way it wouldn't absorb, because what will happen is it will absorb all that dressing and it might get kind of dry because the dressing will be in the noodles. So yeah, I would pack it separately and then mix it together with your dressing and maybe add a little water to the dressing so it's not quite as thick. It'll cover the noodles better. M. Pennington says, I have a 5-quart Hexclad wok and love it. Yeah, I do have one of those wok pans too. I think I have everything they make practically. I didn't buy it all at once because it's kind of expensive. Because people will say, why do you want to spend that much money for pots and pans? You could get them a lot cheaper. And, since I cook all the time, I like having high quality stuff because I know I'm going to really enjoy using it. All right, any other questions? I want to thank everybody for purchasing the bundle. I know a lot of you already have, and I really appreciate it. And also for watching these videos because I've been doing 2 a day every day, except one day our internet was down. I did one and it was on Facebook Live, but I've been doing 2 a day. Today I've already done 2, and I plan to do 2 more. I'm doing one at 3 o'clock, and I'm going to be making Tammy Kramer's cream cheese and I'm not making crackers from scratch. I'm going to use one of her recipes for pita chips. Claudia says, I thought I read they have PFAS. I don't know about that, Claudia. I didn't think they did. I'll have to check again. And then at 6 o'clock tonight, I'm going to be making one of my favorite things. And I'm so excited that I'm making it because I love it. I don't see my cookie book anywhere, but it's the pistachio energy balls. Where is my cookie book? It must be in the other room. So the pistachio energy balls are real. Oh, here it is. I got it right here. The pistachio energy balls are pistachios and date syrup and some oatmeal, and you just make them into balls, and they don't have to be cooked. And what's nice about them is you can keep them in your freezer for a long time and just get out a couple at a time and take them with you when you go to work or when you're on the go, or if you just want a sweet snack to eat with your cup of tea, or The other thing I use that kind of stuff for is when I go somewhere and dessert is being served, and I know I'm not going to eat the dessert because it's going to be cake or something, somebody's birthday party, then I will put a couple of those in a little container and eat them when everybody's having dessert. Somebody wanted to know um, how did you air fry the sweet potato on one temp? I have it in here. In the recipe, it says place the julienne strips of sweet potato on a tray in the air fryer, spray lightly with water, air fry at 350 for 7 to 8 minutes. So it's pretty easy. There's nothing to it. It's just thin strips of sweet potato in the air fryer for a few minutes, and that makes that nice garnish. Oh, let's see. Someone says, how are you managing on doing all these lives and be so calm? I don't know. I love to cook. So since I'm doing something I enjoy doing, it doesn't feel like work, and it comes, it's not too difficult. So I'm able to do it and I enjoy it. So I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to clean up all my mess and write up some stuff about the next um, thing. Elizabeth says, another great video. Thank you, and see you later today. I'm going to write up my graphic, make my Canva thing, whatever you call it, thumbnail for the next couple of classes. And I will be seeing you guys later today. So thanks for everything. Thanks for watching me. Thanks for purchasing the bundle. Here's the link one more time. And please share this information with your friends if you want to. And I will see you back here at 3 o'clock Central Time. Bye, everybody.